Olivia's heart raced as she clutched her service dog Tucker's leash, desperately trying to keep him calm. But when a raging woman suddenly charged toward them, screaming obscenities, Olivia knew this was about to get ugly. Little did Karen know, Tucker wasn't just a service dog. He was a certified hero who had saved Olivia's life. And now, he was about to do it again. Olivia braced herself as the enraged woman stormed up, her face twisted with fury. "Get that filthy mutt out of here," Karen shrieked, spittle flying from her lips. "This is a no-dog zone." Tucker tensed beside Olivia, sensing her distress. "Ma'am, please calm down," Olivia said, her voice trembling. "Tucker is a certified service dog. I need him with me." "I don't care," Karen yelled. "You're disrupting everyone. Get out now." Olivia's heart pounded as she tried to reason with the irrational woman. "I have a legal right to have Tucker with me. He provides essential assistance." "I said get out," Karen interrupted, lunging forward. Olivia flinched, expecting the worst, but Tucker suddenly stepped between them, letting out a deep, warning growl. Karen froze, her eyes widening as she registered the dog's size and power. "What the—" In one fluid motion, Tucker moved to Olivia's side, positioning himself protectively in front of her. Olivia stared at him, amazed. This was the same dog who had comforted her through her darkest moments, who had saved her life countless times. And now, he was ready to defend her against this raging stranger. "Listen," Olivia said firmly, "Tucker is a highly trained service dog. He's saved my life more times than I can count. If you keep harassing us, I'll have no choice but to call the authorities." Karen's face flushed with embarrassment as the crowd around them began to murmur. You can't do that," she stammered. "I can, and I will," Olivia replied, her voice steady. "Tucker is a hero, and he deserves to be treated with respect. Now, please leave us alone." For a moment, Karen seemed to shrink under Olivia's unwavering gaze. Then, with a final huff, she turned and stormed off, muttering curses under her breath. Olivia let out a shaky breath, running her fingers through Tucker's soft fur. "Good boy," she whispered, her eyes brimming with tears. "You're the best service dog I could ever ask for." Tucker responded with a gentle lick, his eyes filled with unconditional love. Olivia knew that no matter what challenges they faced, she could always count on her canine companion to be there for her, no matter what. As Olivia and Tucker continued on their way, the crowd around them parted, offering smiles and nods of approval. Olivia couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Tucker wasn't just her service dog. He was a true hero, and she was grateful beyond measure to have him by her side. As Olivia and Tucker walked away, she couldn't help but feel shaken by the encounter with Karen. The woman's irrational hostility had caught her off guard, and she hated the way her heart had raced with fear. But through it all, Tucker had remained calm and steadfast, protecting her without hesitation. Olivia glanced down at her canine companion, marveling at his unwavering loyalty. "You really are a hero, aren't you, Tucker?" she murmured, giving his head a gentle scratch. Tucker responded with a soft woof, his tail wagging slightly. Olivia knew that to him, he was simply doing his job, keeping his humans safe and comforted. But to her, he was so much more than that. He was a constant source of strength and reassurance, a light in the darkness that had threatened to consume her. As they made their way home, Olivia couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them together. It had been a long and difficult road, filled with setbacks and challenges, but Tucker had been there every step of the way. She remembered the day she had first met him, a scruffy puppy with soulful eyes and a gentle demeanor. He had been assigned to her as a service dog in training, and from the moment they laid eyes on each other, Olivia knew he was special. Despite the challenges of her condition, Tucker had proven himself time and again, anticipating her needs and providing the support and stability she so desperately craved. He had been there for her during her darkest moments, offering a comforting presence and the strength to keep going. And now, he had once again proven his worth, standing up to the raging Karen and protecting Olivia from harm. Olivia couldn't help but feel a surge of pride and gratitude for her canine companion. As they approached their home, Olivia paused, bending down to wrap her arms around Tucker's neck. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for being the best service dog I could ever ask for." Tucker responded with a gentle lick, his eyes filled with unconditional love. Olivia knew that no matter what challenges they faced, she could always count on her canine companion to be there for her, no matter what. With a renewed sense of determination, Olivia straightened up and continued on, her steps lighter and her heart filled with gratitude. She knew that with Tucker by her side, she could face anything. The next day, Olivia and Tucker were out for their morning walk when they encountered Karen again. The woman's eyes narrowed as she spotted them, and Olivia braced herself for another confrontation. "So, you're back," Karen spat, her voice dripping with disdain. "Thought you learned your lesson, didn't you?" Olivia took a deep breath, determined not to let Karen's hostility get to her. "Ma'am, I have every right to be here with my service dog," she said calmly. "Tucker is a highly trained and certified companion, and he provides me with essential assistance." Karen scoffed, her lips curling into a sneer. "Essential assistance, huh? That's a load of bull. That mutt is nothing but a nuisance, disrupting the peace and quiet of this neighborhood." Olivia felt her blood boil, but she refused to back down. "Tucker is not a nuisance, he's a hero. He's saved my life more times than I can count." "Oh, really?" Karen sneered. "And what kind of hero would that be? Some mangy, untrained dog who just happens to be in the right place at the right time." Olivia's eyes narrowed, and she stepped forward, her voice low and steady. "Tucker is a highly trained service dog who has been recognized for his bravery and heroism. He's a medal winner, you know." Karen's smug expression faltered, and she stared at Olivia in disbelief. "A medal winner? You're joking, right?" Olivia shook her head, her grip tightening on Tucker's leash. "No, I'm not joking. Tucker has received the prestigious Canine Medal of Valor for his actions in saving my life on multiple occasions." Karen's face flushed with embarrassment, and Olivia could see the wheels turning in her head as she tried to process this new information. I didn't know," she stammered, suddenly looking very small and uncertain. Olivia took a step closer, her expression hardening. "Well, now you do. Tucker is a hero, and he deserves to be treated with the respect and dignity he's earned. I suggest you think twice before you decide to harass us again." Karen opened her mouth, then closed it again, seemingly at a loss for words. Olivia could see the shame and regret in her eyes, and she knew that her message had hit its mark. Without another word, Karen turned and walked away, her shoulders slumped in defeat. Olivia watched her go, feeling a sense of triumph and relief. She had stood up to Karen, and she had won. As she turned to continue her walk, Olivia couldn't help but smile down at Tucker. "You're the best, you know that," she murmured, giving him a gentle pat on the head. Tucker responded with a happy woof, his tail wagging enthusiastically. Olivia knew that no matter what challenges they faced, she could always count on her canine companion to be there for her, no matter what. Over the next few days, Olivia and Tucker continued their daily walks without incident. Olivia couldn't help but feel a sense of relief and satisfaction, knowing that she had stood up to Karen and defended her faithful companion. But as the days turned into weeks, Olivia couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something wasn't quite right. She couldn't put her finger on it, but there was a subtle shift in the way people looked at her and Tucker when they passed by. At first, it was just a few curious glances, but gradually, Olivia noticed more and more people staring at them, whispering to each other and casting wary looks in their direction. It made her uneasy, and she couldn't help but wonder if Karen had somehow managed to turn the neighborhood against them. One day, as Olivia and Tucker were heading home, a group of teenagers suddenly blocked their path. Olivia's heart raced as she recognized one of them as the boy who had been present during her confrontation with Karen. Well, 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 the boy sneered, his friends flanking him on either side. If it isn't the medal-winning service dog and his owner. Olivia felt a chill run down her spine as she tightened her grip on Tucker's leash. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice steady despite the fear that was beginning to creep in. The boy took a step forward, his eyes narrowing. "We heard about your little showdown with Karen," he said, his tone dripping with disdain. "Seems like you think you're pretty special. Huh." Olivia felt her stomach twist with dread. "I don't want any trouble," she said, trying to keep her voice calm. "Tucker and I just want to go home." The boy let out a harsh laugh. "Oh, I don't think so," he said, his friends closing in around them. "You see, Karen's been telling us all about how you and your hero dog have been making a nuisance of yourselves around here, and we don't take kindly to that." Olivia's heart raced as she realized that Karen had been spreading lies and poison about her and Tucker. She should have known the woman wouldn't let it go so easily. "Look, I don't know what Karen's been telling you, but it's not true," Olivia said, her voice trembling slightly. "Tucker is a certified service dog, and he's done nothing wrong." The boy scoffed, his eyes glinting with malice. "That's not what we heard. And we're not about to let some entitled little bitch and her mutt waltz around here like they own the place." Olivia's eyes widened as the boy and his friends began to close in, their bodies tense and their expressions menacing. She knew she had to act fast, but with Tucker by her side, she was at a distinct disadvantage. As the group inched closer, Olivia felt a surge of panic. She knew she had to do something, but what? The stakes had been raised, and she couldn't afford to back down. As the group of teenagers closed in, Olivia felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through her veins. She knew she had to act fast, but what could she do against a group of hostile strangers? Suddenly, an idea struck her. Reaching into her pocket, she pulled out her phone and quickly dialed 911. "This is an emergency," she said, her voice shaking with fear. "I'm being threatened by a group of teenagers, and I need help immediately." The operator on the other end responded calmly, assuring Olivia that help was on the way. Olivia felt a slight sense of relief, but she knew she had to stall for time until the police arrived. Turning to the teenagers, she glared at them defiantly. "The police are on their way," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "I suggest you all leave before they get here." The boy in the center let out a harsh laugh. "Oh, we're not going anywhere," he said, his friends closing in around them. "We've got a score to settle with you and your precious service dog." Olivia's heart pounded in her chest as she tightened her grip on Tucker's leash. She knew she had to protect him at all costs. But how could she possibly take on a group of hostile teenagers? Just then, a thought occurred to her. Reaching down, she unclipped Tucker's leash, her eyes never leaving the group in front of her. "Tucker, stay," she commanded, her voice firm and unwavering. The boy's eyes widened in surprise. "What? You think your little mutt is gonna help you?" he sneered. Olivia didn't respond, her attention focused solely on Tucker. She knew that if she was going to have any chance of getting out of this unscathed, she would need her service dog's help. As the teenagers continued to advance, Olivia braced herself, her muscles tensing. She knew that if she was going to make it out of this alive, she would have to fight with everything she had. Suddenly, the sound of sirens pierced the air, and the group of teenagers froze, their expressions shifting from bravado to panic. "Time's up," Olivia said, her voice dripping with triumph. "I suggest you all get out of here before the cops arrive." The boy glared at her, his fists clenched in frustration. "This isn't over," he growled, before turning and leading his friends away. Olivia watched them go, her heart still pounding in her chest. She couldn't believe she had actually stood up to them, and she knew that it was all thanks to Tucker. As the police arrived on the scene, Olivia quickly reclaimed Tucker's leash, and the two of them made their way home, both of them shaken but unharmed. Once they were safely back home, Olivia collapsed onto the couch, her body trembling with adrenaline. Tucker immediately jumped up beside her, nuzzling her hand and whining softly. "Good boy," Olivia whispered, running her fingers through his soft fur. "You were amazing back there." Tucker responded with a gentle lick, his eyes filled with concern. Olivia knew that he had sensed her fear and distress, and she was grateful beyond measure for his unwavering loyalty and protection. As she sat there, trying to catch her breath, Olivia's mind raced with questions. What had prompted Karen to turn the neighborhood against her and Tucker? And why had those teenagers been so hell-bent on confronting them? Olivia shuddered at the memory of the boys' menacing glare and the way the group had closed in around them. She knew that she had been lucky to escape unharmed, and she couldn't help but wonder what would have happened if the police hadn't arrived when they did. Sighing, Olivia reached for her phone, her fingers trembling slightly as she dialed a familiar number. "Hello," a voice on the other end answered. "Mom, it's me," Olivia said, her voice quivering. Something happened today." She quickly recounted the events of the day, her words tumbling out in a rush as she tried to make sense of it all. Her mother listened in stunned silence, her heart breaking for her daughter's ordeal. "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "That must have been terrifying." Olivia nodded, even though her mother couldn't see her. "It was," she admitted, her hand trembling as she stroked Tucker's fur. "But Tucker was there for me, just like always." Her mother let out a sigh of relief. "Thank goodness for that brave dog of yours," she said. "I can't imagine what might have happened if he hadn't been there." Olivia nodded again, a small smile tugging at the corners of her lips. "I know," she said, her voice steadier now. "He's my hero, Mom. And I'm not going to let anyone take that away from him." Her mother's voice was resolute. "Damn right, you're not. You and Tucker have every right to be in that neighborhood, and I won't let anyone bully you out of it." Olivia felt a surge of gratitude for her mother's unwavering support. "Thanks, Mom," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I'm going to fight this, I promise. Karen and those teenagers aren't going to win." "That's my girl," her mother said, her voice filled with pride. "I'm here for you, Olivia. We'll get through this together." As Olivia ended the call, she felt a newfound sense of determination. She wouldn't let Karen or anyone else take away the life she had built with Tucker. They were a team, and they were going to face this challenge head-on, no matter what it took. Over the next few days, Olivia and Tucker became the subject of intense scrutiny and hostility within their neighborhood. Despite their mother's encouragement and support, Olivia found herself feeling increasingly isolated and fearful. Everywhere they went, people would either glare at them or whisper behind their backs. It was as if Karen had somehow managed to turn the entire community against them, painting them as nuisances and troublemakers. Olivia couldn't understand it. She and Tucker had done nothing wrong, yet they were being treated like pariahs in their own neighborhood. It was a bitter pill to swallow, and it took a heavy toll on her already fragile mental state. One day, as they were walking home from the grocery store, a group of older residents confronted them, their faces etched with anger and disdain. "We don't want your kind around here," one of the women spat, her eyes narrowed in disgust. Olivia felt her heart racing, but she refused to back down. "I don't know what you've been told, but Tucker and I have every right to be here. He's a certified service dog, and he's done nothing wrong." The woman scoffed, her lips curling into a sneer. "Service dog, my foot. That's just an excuse to bring your mangy mutt wherever you please. You're nothing but a nuisance, disrupting the peace and quiet of this neighborhood." Olivia felt her temper flare, but before she could respond, Tucker suddenly stepped forward, his fur standing on end. The group of residents recoiled, their eyes widening in fear. "Tucker, easy," Olivia murmured, placing a steadying hand on his back. She knew that he was only trying to protect her, but she also didn't want to risk escalating the situation further. The residents, however, seemed to take Tucker's display as a threat, and one of the men stepped forward, his fists clenched. "That's it. We've had enough of you and your damned dog," he growled. "You're gonna leave this neighborhood, or we're gonna make you." Olivia felt her blood run cold as she realized the gravity of the situation. These people were not just angry, they were dangerous, and they were determined to drive her and Tucker out by any means necessary. Swallowing hard, Olivia glanced around, searching for an escape route. But the group had her cornered, their bodies blocking any possible path to safety. Suddenly, a loud voice rang out, cutting through the tense silence. What the hell is going on here? Olivia whirled around to see a police officer striding towards them, his face set in a stern expression. The group of residents immediately stepped back, their expressions shifting from aggression to sheepishness. "Officer, thank goodness you're here," Olivia said, her voice trembling with relief. "These people were threatening me and my service dog." The officer's gaze swept over the group, his eyes narrowing. "Is that so?" he said, his tone clipped. "Care to explain yourselves?" One of the older women stepped forward, her chin jutting out defiantly. "This woman and her dog are a menace to our community," she said, her voice shaking with anger. "They're constantly causing trouble and disrupting the peace." The officer raised a hand, silencing her. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to step back and let me handle this." He turned to Olivia, his expression softening slightly. "Ma'am, can you tell me what happened?" Olivia quickly recounted the events, her voice growing steadier as she spoke. "This group has been harassing me and my service dog for weeks," she said, her eyes hardening. "They've been spreading lies and turning the entire neighborhood against us." The officer's brow furrowed as he listened, and Olivia could see the wheels turning in his mind. "I see," he said, his gaze sweeping over the group once more. "Well, I can assure you that this kind of behavior will not be tolerated. Service dogs like Tucker are protected by law, and any attempts to interfere with or harass their owners will be met with serious consequences." The residents shifted uncomfortably, their faces flushing with embarrassment. Olivia felt a surge of relief and vindication, knowing that the officer was on her side. "Now, I suggest you all go about your business," the officer said, his voice stern. "And if I hear so much as a whisper of further harassment towards this woman and her dog, there will be serious repercussions." The group muttered their reluctant compliance and slowly dispersed, casting resentful glares in Olivia's direction. Olivia watched them go, her heart still pounding, but feeling a sense of triumph nonetheless. As the officer turned to her, his expression softened. "Ma'am, I'm sorry you've had to go through this," he said, his voice sincere. "But I want you to know that you and Tucker are safe now. If you have any more trouble, don't hesitate to call us." Olivia felt a lump in her throat as she thanked the officer, her eyes brimming with tears. She knew that this was just the beginning of a long and difficult battle, but with the support of the authorities and her unwavering companion by her side, she was more determined than ever to stand up to the prejudice and hostility that had been thrust upon them. As she and Tucker made their way home, Olivia couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and gratitude for her canine companion. He was more than just a service dog. He was a hero, a protector, and a true friend. And no matter what challenges they faced, she knew that they would face them together, side by side.